Well, thank you. I want to thank you guys very much for inviting me. I'm very honored, very humbled to be here among Project Happening. Thank you guys very much.
We have a special guest today.
Yes, sir.
Not you.
Oh, you're welcome, Russ.
So it's Comedy Conspiracy Corner.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to make light of this. We're not going to get too serious.
Oh,
you know?
we're gonna get serious.
Oh, we're going to get serious.
Yeah, I don't want to get any mysterious messages saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
Titanic, that's my favorite number one conspiracy because I guess it was like 17 years before the Titanic sunk, which I don't believe is the Titanic. I believe it's its twin sister ship, the Olympic. But there was a book written called The Titan, and it was the grandest, biggest ship of the sea, and hit an iceberg. It was going like 42 nautical miles. The Titanic was going like 41 nautical miles. It didn't have enough lifeboats. It sank. It had the same story, and it was written before the Titanic went down.
The Titan's a book.
It says it was written in 1898 by U.S. writer Morgan Robinson.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm the...
Yeah,
I know all
absolutely.
Never mind the computer.
He just drops knowledge.
We're going on 105 years of the Titanic sinking.
Would
So
that be 1902, 1912 then?
1912. Good job.
Yeah, April 14, 1912. I knew that.
Thank you. Wow, you are just full of information.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So,
Yeah.
so it says here the ships are practically the same size, with Titanic measuring only 25 meters longer. Both ships described as unsinkable hit an iceberg and went under in mid-April. Both were capable of speeds over 20 knots. The boat is described as the largest ship of its day, and it was called the Titan.
So either this author was the Nostradamus of sinking ships, or somebody just fabricated the Titanic sinking.
I didn't know. I never really knew that there was a previous story.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's interesting. White Star Line owned the Titanic and the Olympic. J.P. Morgan owned White Star Line. The Titanic's twin sister ship, the Olympic, was the first ship on the waters. It was the biggest on Earth. Maritime Admiralty law, the law of the sea, is the biggest ship has the right-of-way, unless it's a naval vessel.
Okay.
Then they have the right-of-way. The Titanic was going the Olympic was going full steam. Here comes a British naval ship going full steam. Both are like, kind of balls out, like, hey, get out of my way. The British naval ship had a reinforced icebreaker front because they were doing stuff out in the north, whatever. They both hit the icebreaker.
The hull of the Olympic.
Yeah, right in its side, in its belly. You basically, that's considered breaking the ship's back, or it doesn't go through the water true anymore. So it was just a massive, huge paperweight. The insurance company, so J.P. Morgan went to the insurance company and said, okay, you know what, it's a paperweight, it's dead. You can't go through the water correctly anymore. It's a wreck. I want my money. And they said, well, you were at fault because the Navy has the right of way. And he was like, oh, really? Okay, you're going to play this game. So they took it back to port, and the port was Ireland, and they put it port right next to the Titanic, which they were finishing building. It was already built and everything. They were just finishing putting all the White Star stuff. And so they're looking at that one, they're looking at that one, and they're like, and this has been done throughout the ages. If you talk to fighters or airplane mechanics, they'll actually switch the VIN numbers, I guess you would say. So the Olympic was 002, the Titanic was 003, because there was one before that, not as big. But so basically everything was White Star Lines except the Titanic on the side and the Olympic. So they brought them both to port, they switched them. And there's all these people these Irish workers, immigrants there that said, yeah, we were a part of it, we switched it. We switched just, we did it at night. So what they did, that the Olympic became the Titanic became the Olympic. So J.P. Morgan said, okay, so that's cool. They did a big old patch job on it, but it was still messed up. The Olympic was still, it was just jacked up.
It wasn't seaworthy.
It wasn't seaworthy. It was messed up. So that was one problem. The second problem J.P. Morgan had was because he was in Great Britain. He was dealing with these three. They would be billionaires now. He was dealing with the basically the three richest men in America that were denying a central bank in America. So J.P. Morgan, they got together in their little meeting, the little hush-hush meeting, and they said that then they developed this conspiracy. And so they invited these three millionaires, the ones that were stopping the central bank in America, and he said, hey, I got this grand... Then they did the propaganda machine, which they did the whole propaganda in the United States. Hey, the greatest ship in America, the biggest ship on the sea, the Titanic. Come fly over and ride this ship. It's going to, do all this. He invited them over. And he says, you guys I'm going to wine and dine you. JP Morgan said, I'm going to be on that Titanic with you guys. And, let's just talk. Let's get together. I'm going to have the greatest entertainment on the world. I'm going to have the greatest food, the chefs. I'm going to just wine and dine you guys. And if you don't like my proposal, no big deal. We'll just get off at the port and no big deal. So they agreed. They flew over. They got on the ship right before the ship left. J.P. Morgan, sent out a telegraph. Can't make it. I'm sick. But then there's eyewitnesses watching J.P. Morgan going out with his mistress, right when the ship takes off. So it's just, and this is another fact. When the ship takes off, the Titanic, which is really the Olympic, it starts blowing all this smoke, and then there was an explosion in the engine room, and people died in the engine room because it was leaking inside. And this is supposedly a brand new ship, and it's just like smoking out of the port, and people are like, "What's up with that?" Because it was all jacked up. And so then off they go, and then the true report, which I don't think they hit an iceberg at all. I think it was scuttled. I think it was blown up from the inside. And if you read all the reports and you look at it, like people in the engine room were just blown up. They're just on fire. They're kind of like the basement of 9/11, kind of thing. And so they're coming out on fire, so, and it was crazy. So the ship went down. The three billionaires died, the U.S. that were stopping the central bank. 6 months later, there's a central bank in America, and J.P. Morgan got his insurance for the Titanic, which was actually the Olympic. And the brand new ship, which was the Titanic, which was now the Olympic, that just sailed for years and years and years, and he made all his money back on that too. So I think there's a lot more to the story. There's all these other things that are really cool, but that's just the biggest chunk of it right there.